母親に似て心の優しい君なのに。だが今日で最後だ。もう。
チャンネル登録していい。
Car D Kaizoku.
This video is sponsored by Card Market, Europe's largest online marketplace for trading card games. This video is sponsored by Sleeve Chief. Their latest release, the Brothers Strategy Collection, comes out September 5th. It comes with a deck box featuring Doflamingo and Rosinante. It also features a Rosinante and Doflamingo sleeve, border sleeve, 2-player playmat. So if you're excited for this Don Quixote release, don't keep your wallet waiting and pick this up when it releases on September 5th. And use my code CARDKaizoku for 5% off your order. OP09 has been fully revealed in Japanese, so as always, we're going to do a kind of set review, sort of first impression of every card in the OP09 expansion. I'll be using the Japanese kind of translations of Japanese into English via Google Translate, of course, and then whatever elementary, rudimentary amount of Japanese that I can read from the cards myself to fill in the gaps. But yeah, hopefully we won't run into any issues with translations. And this video will probably be split into 2 videos because I'm going to go through every color, and then I think historically these videos do kind of take quite a bit to record, so we'll see. I don't know, maybe I can fit all 6 colors into one video. That's up for future me to edit, so let's just jump right into the card list. So we have the card list here. We'll start off with red, right? So Shanks the leader, mono red, 5000 power, 5 starting life. Once per turn, when your opponent attacks, you can activate this effect up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters, get minus 1000 power for the turn. A little bit of confusion on how his leader ability worked when he was first revealed, because people thought you could use it on your own turn, because it specified that part of his effect as an additional thing you can do. Like, you can activate it on your turn always, but you can also activate it when your opponent attacks. But turns out that was Cope. What he really does is only when your opponent attacks, you can give minus 1000 power to something. And it doesn't have to be the target that attacked you too, so there's a little bit of flexibility in how you time that. But it really only affects cards like Gum Gum Red Hawk, but even that itself is not too commonly run in Shanks, so for all intents and purposes, it's just minus 1k to something when your opponent attacks. And yeah, that's about as much as you can expect from a monocolor leader, right? Their leader abilities aren't as strong as dual color leaders, but the trade-off is that you get 1 extra life. And it's not a bad one at all. It's a very generic effect. You don't need to play any specific cards in your deck to get the most value out of this, right? You're just having an extra 1k counter whenever you need it. And it does end up making your deck quite tanky. You don't think 1k is too much, but you know, every turn, your opponent can only attack you so many times, and you're also like dealing with your opponent's board, so it's not like they're gonna always have 5 characters out. So you do get quite a bit of value out of giving minus 1000 power to something, right? It stops your opponent from just freely swinging at you with their leader too. And yeah, people were pretty underwhelmed with this leader. I felt like that was the general consensus about him, but I kind of thought he would be strong. And then once they started revealing some of the cards in his deck, it was pretty apparent he was going to be strong, but people were still thinking that he was going to suck. I don't know. You can check. There's like proof of it on my channel. I made that like Shanks is actually strong kind of video way back when like 2 to 3 cards of his archetype were revealed. So I think at the moment right now that people have started to test with him like early on, it's trending to the side that I was correct. He is like one of the stronger leaders of 09. So what does that make me? Like 2 for 2 now, right? I called Kagura being strong and I called Shanks being strong, and it ended up being right. I kinda have lost a little bit of confidence in the One Piece card game community as a whole, because yeah, they've been wrong on leaders that I thought were strong like twice now. I think I trust my own gut more than them now, so at least this helps me confirm that, I guess. But yeah, maybe I'll be wrong on the 3rd try, and then in the end it's just like luck. But for now, seems like I have a pretty good judge on which leaders might be strong in a set or not, so we'll just go through this rest of the set review with that in mind. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more confidence in what I'm saying. So first character card is Uta. 1 cost 2k power. It's just a searcher, right? Yep. So looks at the top 5 for a red hair pirates type character. She herself is not a red hair pirates character. She's a film only. So that's a little interesting. You can't search into a searcher. Well, yeah, most of the time you can't anyway. But yeah, good to have in a Shanks deck. It increases the consistency. Up next we have Shachi and Penguin, except they translated as Killer Whale and Penguin. Is that what Shachi means? I know like Kujira is whale, but I didn't know Killer Whale was Shachi. I thought Shachi was like boss, or is that Shacho? But anyway, what does he do? He's 4 cost 5k power, 1k counter, and then when attacking up to one of your opponent's characters, minus 2000 power for the turn. Was this guy made for Red Purple Law? Because yeah, it's a way to get minus 2k power without having to attach Dawn. I think all the other options, like Brook requires you to attach Dawn, and then there's like a purple Beppo that requires you to be less Dawn than your opponent. This one just gets it unconditionally, right? Whenever he attacks, minus 2k. I don't think he would have fit in the old Red Purple Law, but in the errata one, I guess this is like one of your only options, because the new Red Purple Law, the promo one, he can only cheat out Heart Pirates characters, and there's not too many to go around, so at least they added one. Maybe they plan for that ban in that case, because this seems to fit in that new shitty Red Purple Law deck. So yeah, good to know that they had like some foresight into printing that card, but I still don't think this card makes the deck playable at all. Okay, here's the 10 cost Shanks. We've only seen the alt art for this card, because the alt art is really sick, but this is what the regular art looks like, and I don't like it. But yeah, this is, I think, probably one of the best cards to come out of 09. He's 10 cost, 12k power, and he has Rush. And then as an extra effect, always, whether it's your turn or your opponent's turn, all of your opponent's characters get minus 1000 power. So this on top of your leader ability means that's like a free 2k counter every turn. And then these kind of effects, like the persistent minus 1k power effects, they're actually quite strong. And I noticed this once I played that Foxy deck. The 7 cost Foxy does the same thing. It gives minus 1000 power to something. It does make your deck really resilient. It makes your opponent's ability to attack back into you just that much harder. And yeah, just having this on a 10 cost body with Rush, I think this is an incredibly strong card. It's good for trading, of course, because you debuff something as you attack into it, and you have Rush too, so you don't run the risk of him dying before it gets to your next turn. You get use out of him like right away, and then on your opponent's turn, it's harder for them to attack back into you, so it's also a defensive card, right? So yeah, this Shanks is amazing, and it's searchable by Uta, so great. Up next, we have Silver's Rayleigh, a 5 cost 6k blocker. And then on play, if your opponent has 2 or more characters with an original power of 5000 or more, you draw 2 cards and discard a card. So it's kind of like a super conditional queen. You don't minus Dawn, you just have to have your opponent be allowed to establish 2 5k bodies. I don't know if that is something you would want anyway, for the trade-off of being able to draw 2 and discard 1, but he's still a blocker at the end of the day. And then I guess the draw part is just cherry on top if you can get it. If not, still a blocker. 6k body blocker means that it blocks leader attacks for free, from 5k leaders that is. But yeah, this could just be like a useful enough filler card in the red hair pirates type archetype for the deck. Oh, he's not even red hair, never mind, sorry, he's Roger. So maybe you don't run this in a Shanks deck, maybe you run him in a Roger deck. That's not in this set for now. Up next we have Howling Gab, who is just a vanilla in the red hair pirates type. Good to have. And then we have Heat. Oh, what? There's like 2 characters back to back with long hair and like a mouth laser. So what does Heat do? 3 cost 4k power, 1k counter, and he has blocker. And then on play, up to one of your leaders with power of 4000 or less gets plus 1000 power during this turn. I do believe Red Purple Kid is the only leader with 4000 power for now. But let me bring him up because I kind of forgot what he does. Okay, so if you have 4 or more life, this leader gets minus 1000 power. So yeah, he has 4000 power at that time when you're at 4 or more life. You start with 5, so you're a dual color leader with 5 life. Then when you attack, you can draw minus 1 and get plus 2k power. Okay, so how does Heat work with this guy? So on your second turn, you'll probably still have 4 or more life, so you will be a 4000 power leader. You just establish a blocker and become a 5k leader, and you can attack. Okay. So yeah, it lets you attack with your leader. And I guess in the late game, you can still get the 1000 power, right? Oh no, you're not at 4000 power at that point. So late game in a Red Purple Kid deck, he's just a 3 cost blocker. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it just to be able to attack once early on. We'll see. But for now, this guy's kind of meh. Up next, we got Building Snake. So it is a 3rd functional reprint of Gordon, along with Raise Max. And then with Red Purple Log on, I guess they're allowed to print effects like these. And yeah, he's searchable by Uta at least, because he's a red hair pirate. But yeah, he just gives minus 3k to something when you bottom deck him, and he costs 1. So good for trading. And then there's a lot of red removal now based on power, right? There's a starter deck, Whitebeard, there's a Ben Beckman in this set. And then, of course, OP05 Marco, stuff like that. And Silver's Rayleigh, right? The 08 one. So yeah, I think cards like these have more value now than they did before. And then of course, we just talked about him. Here's Ben Beckman, 7 cost 7k power, 1k counter. I can't believe he even has counter. So when on play, you can place up to one of your opponent's characters with 6000 power or less into the trash. This does not KO, it directly puts him into the trash. This avoids like on KO effects and stuff like that. and stuff that's unable to be KO'd. So yeah, this is one of the best cards in the Red Hair Pirates package for you, right? It's a great mid-game equalizer. It gets rid of one of your opponent's bodies. If you play it on curve, they would have just passed their 6th Dawn turn. There's a chance they might have played like a vanilla, like 6 cost 8k, but more often than not at that point in time, they'll have like a 6k body you can get rid of, and then if not, you can combo Ben Beckman with Building Snake to kill a 9k body. And then there's a stage card too that we'll go over later that gives minus 1k to something. So you can't kill like a 7k body. And yeah, this is just really great removal into a red card with the attacking body. 7k attack is quite high. And yeah, again, he just has counter too, which I think is really strong. It makes him a really flexible card, right? He's not a dead card in hand ever, and then when you need to use him, he's there. So yeah, one of my favorite cards in the Red Hair Pirates archetype. Then we got Bonk Punch. Did these characters really show up in the manga or anime somewhere? I really don't remember who Bonk Punch is, but 4 cost 5k power, 1k counter, and then on play, you can play up to 1 monster from your hand. On times 1, when you attack, this character gets plus 2k power during this turn. Okay, so it's like a combo kind of package. Let's see what monster does and judge it based off of that. Oh, next card is Hongo though, so it's not monster. We'll go back to it in a bit though. So Hongo is a 2k counter, Red Hair Pirates. So 3 cost 2k counter. He might have something useful. He does activate main. You can put this character as rested. If your leader has the Red Hair Pirates type, up to one of your opponent's characters get minus 2k power during this turn. Guess it's an emergency minus 2k with 3 Dawn, but yeah, he's still a 2k counter that's searchable, so I guess that makes him flexible, right? It's not as good as Otama, but good enough. Okay, here's Monster, and he is a 3 cost 4k power. If your character Bonk Punch would be KO by an effect, you can send this character to the trash instead. Okay, so it's like a replacement effect, Rosinante, right? The block Rosinante. So if Bonk dies, who is a 4 cost 5k power, but if you attach Dawn to him, he's a 8k attacker, and then Monster saves him. And then when you play Bonk, you get a free monster. It's not horrible, but I don't think, would this be like your main strategy? Nah, I think the other cards in the Red Hair Pirates archetype are just too strong, but this is not bad at all, right? There's worse 2-card combos in the game. So move on to the next one. We have Yasop. 5 cost 6k power, and then on play, up to one of your leaders gets plus 1000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So it's kind of like a mini 9 cost Whitebeard, right? Whitebeard buffs you for 2k, Yasop buffs you for 1k only. But yeah, it makes Shanks into a 6k base, and then Dawn times 1 when attacking, up to one of your opponent's characters gets minus 1k power during this turn. That's not bad either, right? I think the on play is the main reason you play him. It makes your leader that much more resilient, because on top of your leader ability, it makes it so your opponent can't attack into you at all that turn, or at least it would cost them a lot of Dawn investment to attack you, and then that means that they can't develop something that is as threatening, right? If they had to use 2 Dawn to even ping at you, that's 2 less Dawn. They have to develop something that at that point they would have like what, 6 Dawn, right? So if you cut 2 Dawn out of that, they're making a 4 Dawn play on their 3rd turn, which doesn't sound too strong. And yeah, that Dawn times 1 when attacking is just icing on the cake. It helps him like kill something on the clapback if he lives. Up next we have Lime Juice, who is another 2k counter. Okay, so we have 2 2k counters in Red Hair Pirates type, all within the same set. That's great. Sometimes there's only one for some reason. So on play, up to one of your opponent's characters with 4000 power or less cannot activate blocker this turn. Okay, this helps you get around chump blockers for 3 Dawn, I guess. It's like a really shitty Diable Jump, but 2k counter, so can't complain. Up next we have Lucky Roo, 4 cost 5k power blocker when you're, and then on KO, if your leader has the Red Hair Pirates type, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with the original power of 6000 power or less. Oh, okay. So it's like a better Usopp from 01, right? Is that what Usopp did? Sorry, not Usopp, but Caribou. Because he KOs a 4000 power or less, which is like nothing at that point in time, because 4000 power or less characters aren't going to attack you. But 6000 power, that's where things get interesting, right? You're probably gonna take something down with you. So yeah, I like this as something to do on your 4 Dawn turn, because I don't think there's anything else you can do on your 4 Dawn turn in this deck. And up next we have Rockstar, who is just a vanilla Red Hair Pirate. And then Wire, another kid card, a 4 cost 4k power, 2k counter. Dawn times 1 if your leader has 7000 power or more, and the Kid Pirate's type, this character gains Rush. Well, yeah, Kid usually does have 7k power, because his Dawn -1 effect gives him plus 2k, but Wire having Rush as a 4k body doesn't sound too great, but he's a 2k counter, so I guess you can't expect too much out of that. So, great card. You have a searchable 2k option in Red Purple Kid. Then we have Beat It. Oh, Usero means beat it. Okay, I guess I learned some Japanese today. So it's a 3 cost event. KO up to 2 of your opponent's characters that total up to 4000 power. So it's kind of like that Sabo from, what set is that Sabo from? OP05, right? Does the same thing. Kill up to 2 characters with the combined power of 4,000 or less. So I guess you combo this with like Building Snake and then the red hair stage card to make it worth it. Otherwise, like, you can't even kill a 5k body with this on its own. That doesn't sound too great. Yeah, the fact that you need to use like 1 or 2 other cards on top of this to get value out of it makes me think that this card is not good at all. For 3 Dawn at least. Up next we have I Won't Forgive Anyone Who Hurts My Friends. What's with these long ass card names? I'm gonna try to read the Japanese for fun. Ore wa tomodachi o kizutsukeru yatsu wa yurusanai. Okay, yeah, that. So on main, if your leader has the red hair pirate's type, up to one of your opponent's characters will have get minus 2,000 power during this turn. After that, if your opponent has a character with 5,000 power or more, draw a card. So it's like a worse Gamma Knife, but you replace itself. Oh, I guess technically you can think of this as like Great Eruption. Oh no, it'd be more like Tempest Kick, right? Because the draw part is conditional. Tempest Kick needs to have 10 cards in discard. You need to have 5k power character on board to draw a card with this. And then since it's not 1 Dawn, that seems kind of steep. I don't think this card will be run, because you could just run like Gordon Raise Max Building Snake instead to give minus 3k power to something. And I don't think it's worth being able to draw a card. And the draw part is much more conditional, right? 10 cards in your discard is a lot easier to like meet, because that's your own resource that you're managing. It's not depending on what's on your opponent's board. With this event, your opponent needs to have a character out, which you kind of don't want anyway, right? Because you want to like kill stuff. So I don't know, kind of counterintuitive in that way. Up next we have Come On, We'll Take You On, which is just a event searcher for the red hair pirates type. Looks at the top 5. Trigger draws a card, so it's not like a activate main trigger. So a little sucky in that regard. He just replaces itself. And here is the stage card Red Force, which is his ship, right? Shanks' ship. So 2 cost event, activate main, you can rest this stage. If your leader has a red hair pirate's type, up to one of your opponent's characters gets minus 1k power. So yeah, you get that minus 1k buff. This is what people thought the leader effect did, but it's baked into the stage card. You can debuff something for minus 1k, attack into it, or use some of your KO effects. At 2 cost though, it is kind of steep, but you don't really have any other 2 cost plays. But if you don't draw this in your opening hand, I just can't think of when you would be able to play this, because if you're playing on curve, right, you're playing your Lucky Ruse, you're playing your Yasops, you're playing your Ben Beckman. When do you have 2 Dawn to drop this, right? If it had a trigger that lets you play it for free, maybe it'd be playable, but I don't think this is the answer here. And that concludes red, so let's take a look at green now. So Lim, I guess they consider Lim the green leader of the set. And yeah, Lim makes it so that all your characters come out rested, which is kind of a detriment, but that's kind of how her deck works. And then activate main once per turn, you can rest 3 of your Dawn, add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as rested, and then you can play a Odyssey type character with a cost of 5 or less from your hand. So yeah, an actual discount, 3 Dawn for 5. You're saving 2 Dawn, playing something pretty sizable, but it does come out rested, so you do have to defend it. And yeah, green purple 4 life leader. So let's take a look at what cards are in her set, in her archetype I mean. So there's Audio, 9 cost 9k power, the SR for the Lim deck. So on play, if your leader has the Odyssey type, you can untap 3 Dawn. So he essentially costs 6, but you need to have 9 Dawn to play him. Then when your opponent attacks once per turn, you can rest 1 of your Dawn cards and then give a leader or character plus 2k power. So it gives you an extra 2k counter for 1 Dawn. That is great. And he gives you the 3 Dawn to use it the turn you play him. So you can play him on curve. But yeah, he's not 5 cost, so you can't cheat him out with your leader ability. He's something you have to hard cast from hand. But at 9, if you play him for 6, or you play him for 9, you get 3 back. You can use the 3 for your leader ability, right? So for 9 Dawn, you can cheat out a 9 cost and a 5 cost. So I guess that's quite strong, but they do come out rested. And for 10 Dawn, you'll have that 1 Dawn for your 2k effect. So, interesting. You have a Usopp character, 4 cost, 5k power. If you have 2 or more rested characters, draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards from your hand. So it's very conditional Sabo effect. Sabo gets this for free, so I don't know. And he's a blocker too and prevents KO. Usopp requires you to have 2 rested characters, so you have to have a board in the first place to get any value out of Usopp. And he's not 5 costs, right? Your leader gets most value if you can cheat the highest cost possible, which is 5 costs with at least a 6k stat line. Usopp is 4 cost 5k, so I don't think Usopp is the play. I don't know, maybe filtering is worth it in this deck, but just initial impression, I don't think he's going to be used in the Lim deck. So Crocodile, 4 cost 5k power. Why are they printing 4 cost 5ks if she can cheat out a 5 cost? If your leader has the Odyssey type, this character cannot be KO'd in battle with leaders. Okay, I guess he's got that going for him, right? You cheat him out early, he'll live a turn or 2 until your opponent can develop a character that can attack back into him because the leader can't deal with them. So he can attack pretty freely. And oh yeah, the turn you play him early, right? He comes out rested, so your opponent can't kill him before he gets back to your next turn. So you'll get at least 1 attack off with them. early on if you play him on curve. Okay, we have Sakazuki, who is 6 cost 7k. So this is not something you can cheat out either. It's just barely over the threshold. But then on play, if you have 2 or more rested characters, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. Okay, that's good then, right? It's KO without having to chuck a resource, because the black Sakazuki requires you to discard a card from hand. This one just needs you to have 2 rested characters out, and then you'll have Crocodile at least the turn before, right? On 4, going to 6. So this is a Crocodile that your opponent couldn't kill. You'll have that rested. Oh, you'll attack with them first, and then when you play Sakazuki, he comes out himself rested, so he counts for the 2 or more rested characters. So yeah, that's not bad at all. Croc into Saka, you pop their 5 cost, which is what they would have played the turn prior, right? Because they're at 6. Or you're at 6, because Sakazuki's 6, they would have been at 5. Okay, I like Saka. We have a Sabo character. Okay, finally a 5 cost, 6k power. When attacking once per turn, if you have 3 or more rested characters, draw a card. So he does nothing right away. You do need to attack with them, but yeah, drawing on attack is not too horrible. You do need 2 other characters first. I guess technically, so you play them on your 3 Dawn turn, then you need to play 2 characters on your 5 Dawn turn? Huh. Because yeah, I was thinking you only need 1 character on board to begin with when you play Sabo. So that character will attack, oh, on top of Sabo I mean. So your other character will attack, and then you'll play a character that comes out rested, and then you attack with the Sabo, and then you draw. I was trying to think of like a way to do that, but I don't think there's like a intuitive way to accomplish that. So yeah, I guess you just have to set up Sabo in a little bit of a convoluted way. You have to play something on your 3 Dawn turn, and then Sabo on your 5 Dawn turn, and then on your 7 Dawn turn is when you can get the draw off with Sabo, I guess. I don't know. Okay, there's a Sanji character, also another 5 cost 6k. On KO, you can add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life, and then you can play up to 1 Odyssey or Straw Hat crew type character with a cost of 4 or less from your trash. And I know it says rest here, but I don't think that's correct. So yeah, I think this card is necessary in the deck because your opponent will always be trying to attack your characters, right? Because they come out rested. So it's easy for them to starve you. This Sanji gives you a character you can play from your trash, and also it draws you a card from your life. So as much as we don't want to lose life, I think this card is kind of necessary in a limb deck, or else your opponent can just like whittle away at your hand and then you have no more counter to protect your characters. So yeah, I think Sanji is going to be played in a limb deck. We have Tony Chopper, 3 cost 4k power. At the end of your turn, activate or untap one of your characters with the Odyssey type with a cost of 4 or less. But the fact that it only works on the 4 costs or less means that you're limited on what you want to protect, right? You're not able to protect your 5 costs, which is like your high value card. So I think Chopper is kind of garbage. Maybe if he had blocker and he could untap himself, but yeah, I don't know. Up next is Law, Trafalgar Law, 3 cost 4k power. On play, you can return one of your characters to your hand, and you can play a Odyssey type character with the cost of 3 or less other than a Trafalgar Law. All the freaking Law cards have like a shambles effect, but they all kind of suck. Right, he plays out a 3 cost other than himself. The only 3 cost we saw so far is this Chopper. I know there's a Searcher, so I guess this Law is only there to let you search twice with the limb before it dies. I don't know. We'll go on to the next card though. Don Quixote do Flamingo, 5 cost 6k blocker. Then at the end of your turn, if you have 2 or more rested characters, activate this leader character. So it untaps himself. Yeah, that's not too hard to meet, right? It's another character and then himself, and then he untaps. That means you can attack with them every turn too, right? A 6k attack that becomes a blocker at the end of your turn. Yeah, it's not bad. Probably a staple in a limb deck. It helps both apply pressure and keep you like protected. Because yeah, at that point, if your opponent attacks into your other characters or your leader, you can block with them and counter for like a 6k stat line. A little bit of beefiness. Then we have Don Quixote Rocinante, 3 cost 4k power. Okay, he's a 3 cost blocker. When your opponent attacks once per turn, you can untap this character. Oh, so he's a blocker that does not like get any downsides in the limb deck because he always can untap himself to block. And I guess technically you can use him to attack too, right? If you put Dawn on him, attack, and then when your opponent attacks you, you can untap him to block something. Okay, not bad. We have Nico Robin, 4 cost 5k power. On play, if you have 2 or more rested characters, all your characters with the Odyssey type or Straw Hat crew type cannot be killed by effects until the end of your opponent's next turn. Huh, that's pretty good, right? You only need 1 other character on board, and then when you play her, it protects your board. You're protected from triggers, and then you're protected from your opponent's next turn, whatever they want to do to KO your characters. But yeah, it's only on play, so it's the turn you play her. But can't complain. I think this card is a good tech card, situational. Up next is Perona. Okay, so no more limb cards, no more Odyssey type cards. 1 cost 2k power, 2k counter, and then on play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Thriller Bark Pirates type card or Dracomi Hawk and add it to your hand, and place the rest on the bottom, and then discard 1 card from your hand. Okay, so it's not a searcher, it's a filter, but it's a targeted filter, which is really good. And in a Perona deck, you don't mind filtering, by the way, because you're trying to get value out of your 8 cost Kakamorias, right? So I guess for 9 Dawn, you could play this Perona, look for a 8 cost Kakamoria, which yeah, I guess now it's searchable in the Perona deck. That's scary. A searchable 8 cost Kakamoria, you can chuck a Ryuma from your hand to your discard. Then you play 8 cost Kakamoria and replay that Ryuma back out. That sounds really good. Maybe Perona gets quite the buff from this. Just the fact that you have a searchable Gekkomoria in a Perona deck only, right? Because this Perona is green, so that any other black deck cannot run it to search Gekkomoria, so they balanced it in that regard. Maybe Perona is not going to be Cope tier anymore. I might have to revisit my tier list. But yeah, this is not until OP09, so I have time. I like this. It's a 2k counter too, that's crazy. And it finds a Mihawk. I don't think there's any green or black Mihawk characters yet. Maybe there is in this set, I don't know, but yeah. Wonderful, wonderful card for Perona. Big win. Ooh, up next is Portgas D Ace, who is an Odyssey type character, so it's not ordered in that way. So 5 cost, 5k power, 2k counter, so I can't complain. It's already great. You're gonna need to run this in the limb deck. On play, if you have 2 or more rested characters, put up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less into rest. Okay, so it rests a 5 cost. So it's like a big Ezo. Oh, but with your leader ability, it's like a regular Ezo, a better Ezo. Ezo rests a 4 cost, this can rest a 5 cost, and then if you use your leader ability to cheat it out, it costs 3 Dawn, has a 5k stat line, so yeah, wonderful, flexible card. Nice, Ace. You're playable. Up next we have Monkey D. Luffy. I noticed there's these like freaking cube things in all the Odyssey cards. I guess I should play the game to know what these are. So 5 cost, 6k power. On play, if you have 2 or more characters that are rested, you can rest one of your opponent's 6 costs or less, or their Dawn. So it's kind of like that 5 cost Bonnie, except Bonnie freezes, this causes it to rest. So it's a little different. Yeah, it's completely different, right? This Luffy is reactionary, and Bonnie is preemptive, preventative. Because Luffy rests a character for you to attack this turn, or rests a Dawn this turn so that they can't activate like a event counter. While Bonnie prevents something from untapping, so that means that your opponent can't use it on their next turn, Dawn or character. So yeah, I guess, which would be better though? I guess they fulfill different niches. So this Luffy is playable, I think. And then we have a Limb character, 3 cost, 5k power. On play, you can look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Odyssey type character other than a Limb, add it to your hand. Then at the end of your turn, if you have 3 or more rested characters, you can untap this character. So yeah, 3 cost Searcher in the deck, 5k power, so it's an attacker that can untap herself at the end of the turn. I think that's great, right? And then, as I mentioned earlier with that Law card, you could bounce the Limb back to hand and then replay it, so you get the Search off a second time. So yeah, great card for the deck. Then we have a Lucci card who's just a vanilla, but he's an Odyssey type character. I didn't know Lucci was in the game. They got everyone in the game, But yeah, vanilla option, I don't think you'll run it in a Limb deck. You kind of want cards with effects to cheat out for cheap with your leader ability. Okay, we're on to the event. So Gum Gum 4 Trees Jet Cross Shock Bazooka. So 1 cost on counter if your leader has the Odyssey type, and you have 2 or more rested characters, up to one of your leaders or characters gets plus 2k for this turn. Also 1 Dawn 2k counter, but conditional because you need to have 2 rested characters. Then on trigger, k up to one of your opponent's rested characters with the cost of 4 or less. Why is this good? Oh, it's 2k for the whole turn, not just for the battle. That's why it's different than the other 1 cost green events. I mean, I guess you could buff your leader to 7, so it's harder for your opponent to attack into you. No, but your characters are always rested, so you want to protect your characters from them dying. So I guess having the 2k last the whole turn means that they're safe. I don't know. They have Lightning Spear, Flip, Worldly Desire, Phoenix Shot. 3 cost event. On main, if you have 2 or more rested characters, k up to one of your opponent's characters with the cost of 4 or less. This sounds doo-doo. What does the trigger do? Put it to one of your opponent's characters with the cost of 4 or less into rest. Okay, so the trigger doesn't even KO. It rests only. And then you need to have 2 rested characters to KO a 4 cost for 3. That does not sound good. And then since it's an event, it does not count itself as a rested body when you play it, right? So Sakazuki is like a bajillion times better, even if it costs 6 Dawn. Because he himself meets the requirement for the 2 or more rested Dawn, and then he KOs a 5 cost. And he's a 7k body himself. So this card is poop. We have a 3rd Odyssey event. These are all just game screenshots. Soul of Frankie, Wind Speed Meter Boxing Morning Sword. 1 cost event. On counter, up to one of your leaders or characters gets plus 2k power during this battle. Afterwards, if your leader has the Odyssey type and you have 2 or more rested characters, untap 2 of your characters. So it's like a Spider's Web and Paradise Waterfall, except you can do 2. But there was only like 1 blocker worth running, right? The Doflamingo one. I don't know. If there were like a second blocker, or even like a 7k blocker or something, I could maybe see this being used, because you can block once and then activate this to counter to save it and then untap the blocker to block again. Other than that, you're just trying to save your characters from being attacked. Yeah, I don't know. These events are kind of lackluster in IMHO. That brings us to Buggy, the most controversial card on my channel. So Buggy is mono blue, 5 life leader, 5k power, and what he does is activate main, you can rest 5 Dawn and discard 1 card from your hand to play a cross guild type character from your hand. So yeah, also like a discount leader, right? You cheat any cost character out from your hand for 5 Dawn, which is actually quite steep. 5 Dawn is, I wouldn't say like a discount, right? Because like Iceberg for 1 Dawn can cheat out a 5 cost. Buggy, I guess, depends on having really expensive characters in the set to pay 5 Dawn to cheat out. And yeah, spoilers, I kind of already know what cards are in the Buggy deck. I still think this leader is very mid. I thought he was like the worst leader at first, but I gotta give him some credit. He's not the worst. I think Lim and Robin are worse, but Buggy is definitely not as strong as people are hyping him up to be. At least not from my testing and not from what I think. Could be wrong. I wouldn't mind being wrong, right? Because if he ends up being a playable deck, in the meta at least, I wouldn't mind playing Buggy myself. But yeah, just if I have to be honest with my gut feeling, I don't think he's good at all. But we'll go over that once we go over like his package in the set. So first card, Alvida, 5 cost 6k power. And then on KO, if your leader has the cross skill type, you can play a 5 cost or less character other than Alvida from your hand. So yeah, this is like kind of the main problem with the Buggy deck, I feel. So your leader ability lets you pay 5 Dawn and discard a card from hand to cheat out a cross skill type card. But most of the cross skill type cards are 5 costs themselves, so like you wouldn't want to use your leader ability, you just pay 5 Dawn anyway to play Alvida and not have to discard a card from your hand. Like there's literally only like 2 cards in the deck worth cheating out. But yeah, we'll go over that in a bit. So Alvida is probably a staple in the deck because you'll need it. Because the weakness of the deck is like if they keep KOing your characters, you can't do what your deck wants to do. Alvida kind of accounts for that in that if you kill Alvida, she replaces herself, but the issue is that it replaces herself from your hand, so you're going down in hand resources anyway. If it pulled from your graveyard or your discard, I feel like it would make this card a lot better, but yeah, I don't know. At least she replaces herself if she dies. Up next we have Izo, who is not a Buggy card, right? It's a Wano and Whitebeard Pirates type card, so it's probably for like a Marco deck. I feel like all the Izo art is really nice for some reason. Is there an Izo card in every color now? But yeah, 3 cost 4k power, and then when attacking, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, move up to 1 Wano or Whitebeard Pirates type card and add to your hand, and then discard a card from your hand. Okay, so this is something new that they're doing in 09, right? There's a lot of like filter searches, right? It's not outright a search. It's not +1 in card advantage in your hand. You have to discard a card, which I think they should have done that from the beginning. I think that makes it fair. It would have resolved a lot of the problems with like Zoro being able to search into searchers, and then like Sakazuki, Blue-Black Sakazuki being able to do that as well with Tashigi and Brand New. Right, if they had to discard a card afterwards, it would give them the power to fix their hand, but not like give them extra counter to use, right? So yeah, I think this is great. Oh, but it's when attacking, it's not on play, so maybe not that great. Yeah, I don't know. If it had a 5k body, maybe. But at 4k, but Red Blue Marco does give minus power to stuff so that Izo can attack. I don't know, maybe it's runnable. Up next we have Kabaji, who is a 2k counter in the cross skill type. And yeah, look, 5 cost, 5k power. Is it worth it to cheat this guy out? Nope. But he's a 2k counter, so can't complain. And then if you have a Buggy or Moji character out, this character cannot be KO'd in battle. But it's character only, so even if you're a Buggy leader, that does not count. You need to have a Buggy character out. But yeah, being unable to be KO'd, I guess, is nice. You're able to swing with them without having to worry about him dying. And it does fulfill what you want to do to reach 10 cost Buggy, which we'll go over in a bit. So yeah, I guess just early spoilers. You get a lot of value in keeping your board alive to get like insane value out of 10 cost Buggy, but the deck just plays so counterintuitively to get to that end that I think you just ditch that kind of playstyle completely, even though it was designed to be that way. I think it's better to just play this deck as like a tempo deck, but we'll go on to the next card. So 7 cost 7k Crocodile. This is like the card that you want to cheat out with your leader ability, right? You actually get a discount here, 5 Dawn to play a 7 cost. And then on play, you can play up to 1 character card from your hand with the cost of 5 or less with the Cross Guild or Baroque Works type. So it's a 2 for 1, right? 5 Dawn to play a 7k body that can cheat out a 5 cost body. This is literally the best card in a Buggy deck. This card is what makes the Buggy deck function. Without this card, your deck is like horrible. So to that end, in my version of the Buggy deck, I do run like 8 searchers to specifically find this guy so that I play him on curve. And then yeah, if you're able to drop him turn after turn, that's the only way that I can envision the Buggy deck winning. If you find only 1 Crocodile in your entire game, I don't think those games are winnable at all with Buggy. So up next we have Kozuki Oden. I was gonna say Uden for some reason. So 9 cost 10k power, eh? And then he's a Wano Whitebeard Pirates. He has double attack, and then on KO you draw 2 cards and discard a card from your hand. They keep trying to make a good Oden card, but they all kind of suck. I guess the green one is the best bet. Does this Oden suck? I don't know, cause yeah, 9 cost 10k, he's hard to get rid of, and he has double attack, which is a threat. The on KO, I guess it's nice to have. I don't know, just for like the 9 cost and higher slot, you kind of expect like a higher impact, which this guy does not have. Oh, he's just a common too, so that's why. So yeah, I don't know. If they made him an SR, I think that would make him a lot more interesting if he had a stronger effect, but unfortunate. Up next, we have Dracul Mihawk, who is the other card that is worth cheating out in this deck. You get a 1 Dawn discount, right? 5 Dawn for a 6 cost. To be honest, if you have 6 Dawn anyway, you probably don't want to use your leader ability. Just play him out for 6, keep a card in your hand. But yeah, what makes Mihawk good is he's a 7k blocker, right? 7k as a blocker is a really insanely defensive stat line to be at. It lets you block a magic number hit at your leader for a block plus 1k counter to stop it. That's what makes Basil Hawkins so good. And then on play, you can draw 2 cards and discard a card from your hand. So it's a queen effect without having a minus Dawn. It's just for free basically, right? There's no other requirements to meet to access this. You're +1 cards in hand and you're filtering out a card you don't need. This card is a staple in this deck to keep you like alive, right? It protects your other 5 cost cross skill type characters really well too. And he himself is a potent attacker. Up next we have Jozu. There's so many Jozu cards. I didn't realize he was such a popular character. Okay, he's just vanilla though, so I guess there's that. Wipe your parts vanilla in blue. We have a Nami card. Interesting. 1 cost, 1k power, 1k counter. Is it for the Nami deck? When attacking, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal to 1 blue event card, add it to your hand, and place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Okay, it is a Nami card. It's not going to be like threatening life, but I think just swinging 1k into something for fun gets you 1 card out of your deck, right? It's an event card too, so that's what you want to look for. Yeah, this is a great card for Nami. This is probably going to be like a priority kill target along with Kaya. Because yeah, you want to kill Kaya so they can't bounce it back to hand with Snake Dance to play again, to mill 2. And you want to kill this Nami or else she'll be able to like search 1 card every turn. And she'll never whiff too. In a Nami deck, you'll have plenty of events to find. It's a great card for Nami. Does this make Nami even more broken? Yes, it does. If this was on play, then that'd be crazy amazing. But yeah, when attacking, it at least gives you a chance to deal with it. But you have to deal with it. Up next is the 10 cost Buggy himself. I've only seen the manga rare version of this art, so this is what the regular one looks like. Not too impressed, but 10 cost 12k power, and then on play, you can place up to one of your opponent's characters on the bottom of their deck. So it's like a red rock effect, right? You use bottom deck no matter what cost. And after that, if you don't have 5 characters with a cost of 5 or more on board, you bottom deck this Buggy himself. So this ties back to what I said earlier, where the deck would make you think that the goal is to cheat out as many 5 cost bodies as you can, so that when you play this Buggy, you can both bottom deck something and then stay on board as a 12k body that you paid 5 Dawn to play, right? But that is easier said than done. It is impossible to keep a board with the Buggy deck. Every color has tools to deal with 5 costs, especially with a lot of your 5 costs are just 5 cost 6k bodies, 5 cost 5k bodies even. Right. Red has Ben Beckman to kill. It has that starter deck Whitebeard that can kill. It has Silver's Rayleigh that can kill. It has the 10 cost Shanks from 06, I believe, that can kill. And if you ever attack with any of your characters, red runs rush cards that can attack back into them. Like the 10 cost Shanks gives minus 1k to your characters and attacks 12k at them. That kills a body on board. Black has Lucci, right? Lucci can KO 2 bodies on their Gecko Moria turn. For 8 Dawn, they can bring back a Halmapo and a Lucci that KOs one of your 5 costs. If they have any more Dawn to spare to play like a Ice Age or Soap Sheep or something like that, along with their leader ability, they can KO 2 things with Lucci, so even against black, you can't keep a body out. Even against green, the Limb deck has Sakazuki that can kill your 5 costs. Yellow, you have to worry about Onami triggers, Thunderbolt triggers. So yeah, it's like almost impossible to get this 10 cost Buggy to stick on board, because you'll almost never have 4 other 5 costs or more on board when you play this Buggy. The good thing is that you only need 4, right? Because he himself counts as a 5 cost or more when you play him out. I really wish that they made him have like extra effect where if you hard casted him for 10, you can ignore the bottom deck part, the part where you bottom deck himself, so that you only bottom deck himself if you cheat him out with your leader ability, right? I think that would make him at least playable as like a late game option when you don't have the game going in your favor. Provides a little bit of a comeback mechanic, right? Playing a 10 cost 12k that can just outright remove another character, which is what like the hey, let me just show him so you guys aren't having to guess. This Shanks, 10 cost 12k, KOs a 10k. That's almost as good as 10 cost 12k that can just bottom deck any character. But yeah, the fact that if you don't have 4 other characters on board, he just bottom decks himself makes him really bad, right? If they're okay with this, why wouldn't they be okay with making it so that if you cast this Buggy for 10, he doesn't have to do this part? But yeah, other than that, he is a emergency like Red Rock effect, I guess. Like kind of worse than Red Rock because you have to discard a card in your hand to use your leader ability to play it for 5. Otherwise, it's a 10 cost Red Rock, which is even worse than that. So I don't know. Kind of feel like this is a trap card in the deck. You don't want to play around this buggy. You want to play around this croc. In which case, yeah, it's just a kind of a swarm deck that isn't as good as Kalgara. I don't know. I'm not liking buggy so far. Oh, there's more characters after buggy. So there's a Marco, 3 cost 5k power. On your opponent's turn, you can discard a card from your hand. When this character is KO'd by an opponent's effect, you can play him back from your trash as rested. Okay, so it's better? Is it better than the 03 ones? Let me bring out the 03 one to look at it. So here's what the other Marco did. This guy was good enough to be used in like every red deck. So on KO, you can trash an event card from your hand. You can play this card from your trash as rested. 1k attack more, but this guy is a vanilla stat line, so that makes him really efficient for 3-Don. Oh, but it's only when it's KO'd by your opponent's effect. That's why, okay. Because I was gonna say, like, if you can discard any card to bring him back, doesn't that make him really good? But yeah, if you attack into Marco, you can't revive him that way. While this one can be, right? It's just on KO, not when it's KO'd by effects. Okay, so, I mean, having something like this on curve, unable to be answered, I guess is not bad. Yeah, I guess this is a runnable card in a red-blue Marco deck. We have Moji 2, 2k counter, 5 cost, 5k power. Then on play, you can look at the top cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Richie card, add to your hand, and then place the rest on the bottom of your deck, and then you can play a Richie from your hand. So it's like a Om Holy, right? The search and then the cheating out is 2 separate effects. So you can whiff the search and still play a Richie that you have in your hand. And yeah, he's a 2k counter too, so he's flexible in that regard, but he himself is not a spectacular body. And in the art, he does not have a spectacular body. Well, I guess depends on your preference, right? Could be spectacular to somebody. Let's see if the next card is Richie, and it is Richie. He's a blocker, so 2 cost 2k blocker. Yeah, I guess worst case scenario, you have a 2 cost blocker to save your characters. Best case scenario, you get a free blocker off of the Moji. And you can do Croc into Moji into Richie. So that is a strong play. And it allows you to attack with your 5 costs without having to worry about them dying on the clapback to attacks at least. They're still not safe to KO effects, but at least you can block with Richie. Then Mr. One, Daz Bones. Okay, we have a vanilla cross guild. Huh, that does help with the consistency. Because yeah, other than that, like, I think the best target for that 7 cost crocodile to cheat out would be like this crocodile from OP02, who is an Impel Down, former Baroque Works. But this gives us a second option, a second vanilla to cheat out. Because yeah, just having 7k as a stat line makes him a little bit harder for red to deal with. Because Ben Beckman KO is a 6k power, not 7k. So yeah, this helps against Shanks at least. We have Mr. 3, 1 cost 2k power. On play, look at the top 4 cards of your deck for a cross guild or Baroque Works type character, except for another Mr. 3 added to your hand. Okay, so it's a 1 cost searcher, not a filterer, a searcher. Yeah, this is 4 of the 8 searchers I run to find the 7 cost croc. Here's the other searcher. Cross guild event 1 cost searcher looks at the top 4 for a cross guild type character, or cross guild type card actually, and add to your hand. On trigger, you activate the main effect too, so it's not draw 1, it's better. This helps with finding your 7 cost crocs. And then special Maggie Ball. 2-Don event on main, where your opponent returns one of their characters at the cost of 6 or less to their hand. It's like a better Arabesque. What set was Arabesque from? Arabesque Brick Fist returns a 4 cost or less for 2-Don. This one returns a 6 cost or less for 2-Don as well. Oh, but the distinction is that your opponent gets to pick, right? So it's not as good depending on the situation. If they have like a searcher out, they'll just bounce the searcher back to hand. Meanwhile, our best Brick Fist, you get to target where you want to bounce back. So a little bit of a trade-off in flexibility for hitting a higher cost threshold. Then trigger lets you bounce a 3 cost. Okay, maybe you don't run this card. Because yeah, every deck runs searchers at this point, so I don't know. You have to get rid of the searcher and then play this so that they're forced to pick like their high priority target. Might be good against like, I was gonna say Shanks, right? Because you could bounce like their big characters back to hand to have them replay it. But since they have rush anyway, it doesn't really affect them too much, so never mind. Maybe you don't run this card. We also have Steam Murder, 2 cost event, counter event up to one of your leaders or characters gets plus 3k power during this battle. Afterwards, discard 2 cards from your hand and place the number of cards you discarded from the top of your deck into the trash. Oh, it's another Nami card. Why are they giving Nami more cards? She's already meta. Oh my god, that's scary. So yeah, it's a 2-Don 3k counter, which is not the worst. And then you trash 2 cards from your hand and mill 2. Yeah, just another event to use. Is there room in the Nami deck for this to slot in? Yeah, I guess 2-Don to mill 2 is pretty good, right? Because there's a lot of cards that are just 2-Don to mill 1, and that's run in Nami. And then trigger draw a card, so even as a trigger, you're milling yourself. Not milling, but 1 card less in your deck. Yeah, wonderful card. Nami's getting scary. Oh, it's a Buggy Pirates type card though. Then we have a stage 2, Karai Bali. Is that the name of the island that the cross guild is on? So activate main, well, 1 cost event, activate main, place 2 cards from your hand at the bottom of your deck in any order, and then you can rest this stage. If your leader has the cross guild type, draw 2 cards. Okay, so another filter effect. So we have 8 searchers and then a stage card that helps you search too deep for your 7-cost croc. So maybe the consistency of always playing 7-cost crocs every turn isn't as hard as I thought with the stage card. And then the stage card filters out other stage cards in your hand too when you draw them later in the game, so it's not bad in that regard. For 1 Dawn too. Maybe Buggy? Buggy went up a little bit in the power rankings in my head. I don't know by much, but I'll have to try out the deck with the Mihawks and then the stage card. See how consistently you can get the 7-cost croc out. And then we'll go from there. My verdict on Buggy is not solidified. I'm open to changing my mind about him. I just had to test more with these new cards with the fully revealed 09. So expect to see that on my channel too. And this should wrap up blue, right? Next card is, yeah, purple, black, Luffy. So that's it for this video because it's gone on quite long enough. So we did red, green, and blue. Next video we'll do purple, black, and yellow. Let me know your thoughts on this first half of the 09 set review, first impressions video. Were there any cards that I maybe like misinterpreted or any cards that I did not attribute as much hype as you expected to? And then you can explain to me how it's better than I thought. I'm open to learning, to discussing, to knowing what you guys think. Yeah, like this video and comment if you enjoyed it. These videos help me get a sense of like what to expect to going in the future. And let me know if you're excited for 09. It looks like it's gonna be like quite the exciting set. I'm hyped for it. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. And yeah, just let me know your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I would appreciate it. It makes me happy. You like me when I'm happy, right? Okay, bye.
Kaizoku.